This has been a wild season in the NFL so far, with some unexpected underdogs sitting at the very top of the standings, and some previously deemed powerhouses fighting for their lives at the bottom. Today, it's time to have yet another power rankings to see how all 32 NFL teams stack up as of right now. At number 32, the Jacksonville Jaguars. What seemed to be a promising roster with a bright future quickly turned into a dumpster fire with a horrendous look. This team has been the laughingstock of the entire league during the whole year, and nobody would be surprised if they finish with the first overall pick. Moving on are the Giants. They have been terrible this year, even though they've been able to put up a fight in a couple of occasions. But regardless, this team has no foundation whatsoever, and I think they aren't even worried about it, and rather looking at QB options for 2025 onwards. Up next, the Tennessee Titans. They just don't have the roster to be a competitive NFL team. They are simply in a very complicated situation, and it's not like they are going to be able to win many more games with the players that are currently on this roster. At number 29, here come the Raiders. Outside of Brock Bowers, there are really not many positives to talk about in Las Vegas. This season is already completely lost, so it's time to try and leave it behind to start focusing on the future to hopefully make it brighter. Moving on, the Carolina Panthers. This is actually a great spot for them, considering they were dead last to start the season. Bryce Young does seem to be improving a little bit, so the future may not be as terrible as we all expected. At number 27 are the Patriots. This is just not a good roster, and coaching isn't particularly good either. Drake May has been solid so far, so their future foundation is set, but 2024 is not a year where they'll find any sort of success whatsoever. Up next are the Browns. They have been terrible this year and arguably the worst team in the league. However, they did get two huge divisional wins against the Steelers and Ravens, so that puts them higher on this list despite other struggles. In 25th place, we have the Cowboys. They started the season somewhat strong, but fell off incredibly hard since. They have been absolutely demolished in every single home game, and with Dak Prescott out for the season, things aren't looking prettier on the horizon. Moving on at number 24 are the Jets. We expected them to be as bad as always, but not this bad. Rodgers isn't looking like his old self anymore, and well, this team just seems like despite having a lot of talent, they just cannot pull through. Up next, we have the Saints. They look like a legit playoff team during the first 2 weeks, and then it all came down. Injuries didn't help either, but overall, this team just deflated to the point where they even lost against the Panthers. On to number 22, the Chicago Bears. They started the season with 4 early wins, and it looked like they may just be having a solid year, but things changed very quickly. The remaining schedule is a complete gauntlet, and it's hard for me to imagine them winning even 2 more games. In 21st place, the Colts. They've been solid on a couple of occasions, displaying some talent and some ability to make plays. However, I would dare to say this is probably the most inconsistent team in the NFL, so I really do not want to rank them too high up. Moving on, here come the Dolphins. Losing Tua for a few games most definitely hurt their playoff chances early on. Regardless, they've looked solid now that he's back, so don't be surprised if they get near a winning record towards the end of the season. In 19th place, here come the Cincinnati Bengals. They are the best worst team in the league. They have the statistically best quarterback and wide receiver, as well as the sack leader, and yet they have a losing record. Coaching is just trash. I think it's as simple as that. Now at number 18, the 49ers. It's surprising to see them this low, especially now that they have Christian McCaffrey back. The Super Bowl hangover is definitely hurting this team, as it's currently looking very complicated to even getting to the playoffs this season. Up next are the Falcons. They have had some really good wins and have looked like a playoff team in some games, but in some other, they are just absolutely terrible at football. I think they can still fight for their division, but they are in desperate need of some consistency if they want to do so. At number 16, then come the Seahawks. They've been good, although not perfect. This team is right in the middle of the playoff race, and who knows, they may just be able to snag the division crown come January. Moving on, we have the Rams. Injuries complicated their season early on, but now that everyone's back, it's showtime. This team could low-key be a dangerous threat come playoff time, but that will only happen if they're able to get into the postseason in the first place. On to number 14, the Arizona Cardinals. They improved a lot from last year and currently have a very realistic shot at the NFC West crown. We shall see what happens, but still, I think it's clear to me they are a top 15 team as of right right now. Now for 13th place, the Buccaneers. Injuries killed this team, there's no doubt about it. They are not in the best possible situation, but the future is bright if they are able to use their talented roster to win all the winnable games they have left. On to 12th place, the Houston Texans. I honestly thought they would have been better, but damn, that offensive line is just trash. This is a solid team and definitely a playoff contender, but they need to give CJ Stroud some time to throw if they want any sort of shot at a deep postseason run. Up next are the Broncos. They've impressed me this season, not gonna lie. Bo Nix has looked better with each passing week and the defense was always great. It's going to be fun to see if they can do something juicy in the playoffs if they manage to get in. Into the top 10 we go with the LA Chargers. Jim Harbaugh has been the savior of this organization as he has them in prime position to make the playoffs. The Chargers are a really solid team capable of winning any given Sunday, so make sure to watch out for them. In 9th place we have the Packers. They've been good, but I'm not a huge fan of how they always find themselves fighting close games that shouldn't even be close at all. Still, this is a playoff team for sure and there are no questions asked about that. Moving on, we have the Commanders. This team has been much better than I expected them to when the season started. Daniels is a strong contender for the Rookie of the Year award, and well, this team is looking like a playoff lock so far, which is quite impressive. Up next are the Vikings. They started the season 5-0, looking like a legit Super Bowl contender. They haven't been dominant since, but there's currently no doubt in my mind that they are a top 10 team in the NFL. On to number 6, we have the Ravens. They are just lacking consistency because statistically speaking, they could be top 3 easily. Baltimore is certainly a Super Bowl contender, it's just going to be interesting to see if they can finally have some sort of playoff success. Cracking up the top 5, the Pittsburgh Steelers. This team could be the number 1 any given Sunday, but also lose to the worst team in the league the very next week. That's just Steelers football, playing down to competition. I don't think that can save them in the playoffs, but it does have them at the top of the AFC North so far, so I'm guessing it's kind of working. Moving on are the Chiefs. They were one of the worst undefeated teams I've seen in my life, being just bad and still managing to win. They have now lost, so people are just now finally realizing this team is not the best in the league, even though it is still rather strong. Now to enter the top 3, we have the Eagles. They have been excellent on both sides of the ball, and the consistency has been also quite good. I think the Eagles are the number 2 NFC team so far, so I think they could potentially have a shot at the Super Bowl this season. Up next, we have the Buffalo Bills. This is a good football team, having overall a great roster and great coaches as well. If Buffalo has a shot at the Super Bowl, this is the year for them, so let's see if they're able to pull through. And finally, the best team in the NFL are of course the Detroit Lions. They have been absolutely dominant during the entire season, and it doesn't seem like they'll be stopping anytime soon. I think they'll win the Super Bowl, and it most certainly feels like this is finally the year for Detroit to win it all. Anyways, let me know what you think down in the comments. Thank you for watching, and well, hopefully you enjoyed it.